And then a lot of us think like, oh, if we go through so much with an individual, I will be their wife.
Yeah.
I will make it to the end.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you make it to the end, you wanna be as happy as you thought you
You're not
would.
going to be happy because you're not living for you. You're living for someone else.
What happens is we get into these relationships and we think like, oh, I'm going to find the perfect person. I'm going to, do this. I'm going to do life with this person. And you're searching for the person. And the person is you the whole time.
And I didn't really get to have a personal relationship with my own family, my aunties and uncles and stuff, until I got older. And then I started to get really until I got accomplished. Mm-hmm. Once I started to show them the type of man I am, father and stuff like that. And it became more of a, hey, nephew, what can you do?
So when I went to therapy and, going to seek advice for my relationship, I truly found out that, wow, I had a lot of trauma that I had to deal with. That's when I found out I had mother wounds, father wounds.
Right. You have when you create your own relationship with yourself, first of all, it attracts people because they see that you're so competent, you're so confident, and you just elude this energy about yourself that you attract way more people.
Welcome to C Notes. I'm Sierra, the founder and host of C Notes, and today's topic is one I've touched on before, so yes, you could call this the remix, but today's episode is Love Hurt, but it doesn't have to. And it's all about relationships. If you've been here since season 1, you might remember when I called this topic relationship goals, but this time I'm being more intentional. And if you don't know, intentional is my word for 2025. I want to be intentional about everything I do, including how I love, how I show up, and who I give my energy to. So I'm starting this conversation with the most important relationship you will ever have, the one you have with yourself. We talk a lot about love, romantic love, family love, friendships, the love we pour into our children. But if the relationship you have with yourself is built on fear, guilt, avoidance, or performance, every other relationship will reflect that. And let's just be honest. Let's just be real. A lot of us are lying to ourselves about how we love ourselves. When I tell people you don't love yourself unconditionally, the first reaction is always, who, me? Yes, you. I know because I had to say it to myself. And yes, I was appalled. But here's the truth. We've been conditioned to earn love. That's why we stay in relationships longer than we should, trying to prove we're worthy, trying to earn something we were always meant to receive freely. I thought I'll save relationships with others for later in the episode. But here's the thing. You can't talk about self-love without talking about how you show up in your relationships. If you really want to do the work, if you really want to learn how to love yourself, you've got to look at where you've accepted the bare minimum. So think about it. What's the worst relationship you've ever been in? Now ask yourself, why did I stay? With parents, why do we keep letting the disrespect slide, the emotional manipulation, the gaslighting, even as grown-ups? With friends, some of y'all are in domestic violent relationships with your friends. Yes, I said it. Y'all fight, cuss each other out, sabotage each other, and call it loyalty. Doesn't sound like loyalty to me, but y'all been friends for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years. Nowadays, 2-3 years. But with partners, maybe it's not even how they treat you. Maybe it's how they choose to live. Addicted to chaos, drugs, gambling, generational dysfunction, and their choices become your burden. So why do we stay? We say because of the kids, because they help with money, because I didn't want to start over. And trust me, I get it. I've been there. I once stayed for kids. I thought I was protecting them. But the truth was, I was scared to do it alone. And then I realized I was already doing it. Now I love how I parent. I love how I show up. I get to co-create the relationship I have with my children on my terms. Let's talk about my last relationship. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting and a lot of working on myself, learning myself, and I love it. But I learned a lot from my last relationship. And I think the thing that I learned the most was I stayed because of words of affirmation. He made me feel seen, loved, beautiful through his words. And here's the wild part. While finding words for this episode, it hit me every time I take the love language test back in the day, because I just took it today because I wanted to see. But words of affirmation is always last on my list. And you know what? That's exactly what I needed to give myself. So I started telling myself I'm beautiful every day, clapping for myself for the little things. Even when I thought I fixed my water heater, clapping for myself, clapping when I say no without an explanation. Like I just did it last week. I was so happy. Like, yeah, you said no without giving an explanation. And I'm giving myself what I used to beg others for, because now I want to show up in my relationships full. Not financially, but mentally and spiritually. But I'm going to show up financially as well. I think a lot of times in a lot of relationships, a lot of people stay because of the finances. And that's why I want to be financially I'll say self-sufficient before I get in a relationship. And physically, that aligns with financially, but mentally, spiritually too. I think a lot of people have so much work to do mentally and spiritually. It's easy, the physical. It's easy to get money. It's easy to take care of yourself physically, but that mental, that spiritual, it's a lot of people that needs to do work on that. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just passionate, but I don't need anyone to be my peace. I am my own peace. And I want that for you too. I want that for all the world. And I'm gonna say the realest truth of all, some people don't want to be alone with themselves. So they'll be with anybody. And that's the saddest thing to me, because you don't want to sit with yourself. We've all heard that saying, if you don't want to be alone with you, why would anybody else? Let's unpack that, because I think a lot of people don't reflect on what that really means. But it really means learning to enjoy your own company, to feel safe with yourself, to love who you are when no one's watching. And I'll be honest, the first time I really started to sit with myself and love on myself, it felt unfamiliar. But now, y'all, best feeling in the world. I love being by myself. And I'm not saying like in an isolating way, because I like going to concerts. I like going to comedy shows. I still like outside. I love outside. Okay. I go outside every day just to get outside, like to take my kids to school, to go to the grocery store, just to go outside. Like I go check my mail every day at my office. Like I just want to be in the nature. But as far as like when I do come home, like my phone is on do not disturb. And honestly, now I don't really even answer it anymore. I used to tell everybody, yeah, call it for twice, but whatever the emergency it is, or whatever the conversation is going to be, it's going to be there tomorrow. I literally have my kids in my sight, so I know what's going on with them. But one song I'll say that helped me get there, it's a lot of songs because I listen to music. I love music. I love everything about music, especially some old school music. I'm just saying I don't really like the new stuff, but every now and then it's a new song. But the song that I feel like resonates with today's episode is Good Morning Gorgeous by Mary J. Blige.
Someone else, all the times that I should have been gentle with me, all the times that I should have been careful with me.
Yeah, I like that song, because sometimes you got to say it before you believe it, before you know it. That's what I talk about, affirming what you need in your life, what you want, what you desire. I was going to talk about this. Well, I am going to talk about this in the autopilot mode. Basically, the autopilot living episode. A lot of people are disassociating from their life. A lot of people are in autopilot mode, but I would say not only affirm what you want in your life, but also envision it. I think a lot of times we can envision the negative. Like we can see ourselves getting a flat tire. We can see ourselves running out of gas. We can see ourselves not getting that promotion, not getting that raise. We can see that person cheating on us. We can see this person, even thinking about that person cheating on you. But how about you envision the life you want? I'm like, when you start seeing, because the reason why a lot of us stay so stagnant because of how we see ourselves in the future. And even in the future is 2 minutes from now. Like, how do you see yourself? You always hoping and expecting the worst news. Switch it up. And I know this about relationships, but I'm getting on self because self is the most important thing in any relationship. If you don't know yourself getting into a relationship, this goes for all aspects of your life, but stand for something or fall for anything. That's how people get into in domestic violence relationships with friends, family, significant others. That's how people, I'll say, basically stay stagnant because my relationship is holding me back. I can't go to school because of this. I can't do this because you always have an excuse to not be where you want to be at versus you holding yourself accountable. Because that's why I say, look at what made you stay. It's so easy to talk about what was the worst thing about the relationship, but what was making you stay? We got to start looking at the positives. And I'll just say, I've been envisioning my life almost, I'm not going to say I be in La La Land, but I'm telling y'all, I see myself doing great things and it's happening faster and faster. And God is exceeding my expectations on life and what I envision. So I'm going to just say this. When you be expecting the worst, you don't get the worst, but you're still not getting the best because you are limiting yourself and how you show up for yourself, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, y'all. I really want this for y'all. I want the freedom. I want y'all to feel the peace that I feel. But the only way you're going to get there is through self. So dream big. That's a cliche. That's a saying. But literally dream big so God can exceed your expectations. But I'm going to get back to relationships with others. So today we're talking about love. The kind that hurts, but doesn't have to. You'll hear from our guests about the relationships that shape them. And after that, we'll talk about how to show up for others once we've learned to show up for ourselves. So let's get into it.
Relationship challenges or just relationships in general, everybody experiences it because, just talking and being in communication with another person, that's some form of relationships. But what has been your experience with relationships?
So I can say that I have had my challenges in relationships. I've always been in long-term relationships. My longest was like maybe 9 years. And then I just kind of just went from like 2 years, 3 years. But I realized as I look back and I reflect on life that I was trying to show my worth. I was like, I'm a good girl. Like, I'm a wife. I'm wife material. I'm this, I'm that. And it's like I was trying to show people that. And people wasn't seeing it. I'm just like, what the heck? I'm like, I stay in the house. I don't club. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Like, I don't do any of these things. But what I come to realize is that it's not about, because, they say he who finds a wife finds a good thing. But it's also about you choosing yourself.
Yeah.
And it took for me to have this big blow up in life earlier last year for me to realize that I had to choose myself. And what happens is we get into these relationships and we think like, oh, I'm going to find the perfect person. I'm going to, do this. I'm going to do life with this person. And you're searching for the person. And the person is you the whole time.
It is.
You are the person.
You're the perfect person. But as far as like, I don't think people searching for a perfect person. I feel like that, or I'll say a person in alignment, that is one thing. But that's because we haven't even found ourselves. We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Well.
And so I feel like you have to be in relationship with yourself first. I'm always going to take stuff back to God. So I think you should have a relationship with God, and God will then reveal himself to you. And then he will also reveal the true authentic parts of you. And then you're able to share that with somebody. Like, you are the blueprint for how people will make you feel.
Yeah.
So if I abuse myself, I'm going to allow you to abuse me a little bit more. But if I love myself, and I always say this, like, the love that you get from other people, it's just a bonus. You loving yourself, that's the real thing. So you definitely got to choose yourself. And you definitely got to do the work to be in a relationship with yourself. Because if you don't want to be in a relationship with yourself, everybody don't want to be in a relationship with you. So that is my thing on it. And I just feel like once I turned that around and once I realized that I was the person that I needed to be in a relationship with, it caused me to just kind of spiral and just kind of say, like, you know what? Because I was at a point where I was going to choose a relationship out of desperation because I was like, I just want to be in a relationship. But then I was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, we're not doing that. Like, choose yourself.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, okay. And so when I chose myself, I started to go on this journey where I was celibate. I've been celibate for 2 years now, and it's not even about abstaining from sex. It is more so of really owning my power. I found power in my yes to myself, and all those different things. So I think if you really focus on self, you can be in a relationship with self, because just like the number 11, you in a relationship with somebody, here's you, this person, y'all bouncing negativity off each other. And it's like, but the same way you can bounce negativity off each other, and bounce positivity. So if I'm in a space where I can be positive and good in a relationship with myself, I, can bounce that off of somebody. And so with that, you definitely want to do the work on yourself before you get yourself into a relationship. Otherwise, it's just going to be craziness.
I always say you attract what you are, and it just, that's what it is. So like you said, if you're working on yourself and you bring in that, whatever you bring to a relationship is what you're going to get back. But yeah, is there anything else extra, that you will leave the audience in regards to relationships? Because it's a big topic, that's, I feel like, that's one of the biggest reasons why people come to therapy.
Yep.
And then I'm like, yeah, that's what you think. I'm like,
it was me the whole time.
Yeah.
So I would tell people to really focus in what they really, really want, because if you know what you want, need, and desire, you're able to, be aware of what that is and what it looks like when it comes to you.
Yeah.
And don't be so desperate to get into a relationship, because there's no line of people behind you to be like, dang, like I got this person to fall back on.
Yeah.
So, like, fall in love with yourself and just be in relationship with self before you can be in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Relationship challenges is one of the biggest topics I feel like people, or one of the biggest reasons people seek therapy. And I always tell them, it may seem like it's relationship, but it's you, but we gonna go with it. That's what I always say. I always say that. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go with it, but no, relationship challenges. Can you share your experience with relationship challenges?
That is so funny. First of all, it's so funny that you started off saying, like, you think it's the relationship, but it's really you, because that's so funny. Because when I first started, the way I started receiving therapy was because of relationship.
Yeah, it's all the time. It
didn't take long. It didn't take long for me to find out that it was that I needed like self therapy.
Yeah.
It literally took only a week. It took 1 week. Like, I'm a fast learner. Okay, I'm like, you know what? I don't think this has to do with it. Like, I think I want to talk to you alone. And that's literally what ended up happening. We started having. Sorry, you made me laugh, and I'm crying real tears.
No, that's
so relatable.
No, it's the truth. It's the truth. Like, I have so many people who come to me and they be like, I just really want to, work on myself so I can be better for my relationship. And it's relationship. And I'm like, that's what you're saying right now, but we don't. And then it always changes over time.
It does. So 1 second. Okay, so relationship challenges. So, man, yes. So when I went to therapy and going to seek advice for my relationship, I truly found out that wow, I had a lot of trauma that I had to deal with. That's when I found out I had mother wounds, father wounds. And I'm like, damn, like I thought I was like normal. Like, not that I'm not normal, but
yeah.
And it's like when you really and then I learned that the the trauma that we have within ourselves and the type of attachment style that we have is actually the partner that you attract for adult life. So a lot of literally, like a lot of times, whatever type of partner you attract, it really mirrors. It depends on the type of trauma that you have from childhood. And the relationship challenges that I had, and mine was more like I was able to see it more in this past relationship, because this past relationship was my adult relationship, I guess I would say. You learn a lot from your adult relationships. And I truly learned everything that I experienced in my childhood, I experienced in this relationship. And I was like, what is it? Excuse me, only to find out that I just had to heal certain wounds that I had within me. Like, it wasn't so much like the fights that me and my ex were having. When I tell you, it was literally our inner child wounds fighting. It was like the little kids fighting with each other. It was not the big us. The big us is very responsible. We take, but the inner child wounds, how they call it, scrapping. They were scrapping, literally. And I found out that when you really, once again, work on yourself, you end up realizing that a lot of things that we bring in our relationship is self. It's our fault. I blamed a lot of things on my past relationships, and I had to truly sit down and realize I came presenting a certain way. According to what I know. How do I blame anyone for reacting to what I'm presenting? Because he also had his own wounds. And I feel like, and so to say that I found that I had avoidant attachment and he had an anxious attachment, not safe. Not safe. But it's so being aware and learning yourself and learning your wounds and traumas helps so much, because once I knew that, I knew how to move. I knew what to do, either fix this relationship or separate. Because at the end of the day, sometimes certain attachments are not healthy to work together. And it's better to be aware than to fight your whole life for a relationship that actually, when you really need to sit with self and deal with other wounds that have really nothing to do with relationships.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I tell a lot of people, I'm like, a lot of times I should just say it's a reflection. Whoever you choosing is a reflection of you. And it's at a core, we are who we are based off our childhood. And if we haven't dealt with those things, you're showing up still as your child.
Absolutely.
Whatever you haven't dealt with, that's how you're showing up. So even if the trauma or whatever the impact happened at, I'll say 12, 15, if it happened at 9, if it happened at 7, if you haven't dealt with, that's how you showing up.
Functioning as a 9-year-old.
And I say, okay, and at a core, I feel like at a core, it's you don't love yourself unconditionally. And people get upset when I say that. I'm like, there before. But when you don't love yourself unconditionally, and I'm pretty sure you attracting somebody who don't love themselves unconditionally, and how that shows up in them looks different for how it shows up with
Absolutely.
You. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I'm like, it'd be a lot of things. It's really core values too. Like, if I don't respect myself, they don't respect themselves, but how they show it looks different from how I show it. It's still, like you said, they're a mirror. They're
different things.
It's your partner, whoever you choose, is a reflection of you. Period.
Absolutely.
Your friends, but that person is somebody you deal with.
It's deeper. That's a real mirror. Like, people are really, I wish people would really look at relationships. The way I look at relationships now, it's really actually like a cheat sheet. Relationship should be looked at like this is somebody actually here to help you with your own self-development. Because they want to pinpoint things that you don't know about yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself, your ego will get in the way
That ego. Yeah.
And then you won't be able to learn. And that's what truly happened. I feel like it was very hard for me to learn the things that I learned about myself in that past relationship. I did not know the type of wounds that I carried because, I grew up in two-parent household and I had a stable household. That don't mean nothing.
It don't.
It means nothing.
It don't mean nothing at all.
Nothing at all, because 9 times out of 10, this is a sinful world. So we have wounds. Even when you think you grew up in a perfect environment, 9 times out of 10, you may not have gotten the emotion security you might have needed. You might have gotten the emotional security and maybe got the stability. You might, like whichever way, it's important to find out what it is.
Yeah.
Because when you don't know, like you said earlier, you're going to show up as that child that's still fighting to be heard or to be recognized or to be loved or to be whatever,
to be seen.
Yeah, to be
the very first episode I did for C Notes was basically tap into your inner child, and I said it's something we all hear probably, and I'm not gonna say everybody because like you said, everybody does have a different childhood, but a lot of people hear that saying a child is supposed to be seen, not heard, but they not you. If I'm not being heard, I'm not being seen. I'm literally screaming out for help, and you not listening.
Absolutely.
You're not listening. And I said, even a little bit with the sexual abuse too, because all of this stems and works together. It does. I had a client who they experienced sexual abuse when they were younger, and they literally said they switched how they dress. They no longer wear dresses. They started to wear, be more of a tomboy. And I was like, that is a sign right there. And I'm not saying like, oh, if you do that, but no, it's like, what's going on? Like, I noticed you dressing different. That's letting me know that I'm seeing you. I'm seeing you. What's going on? Like,
exactly.
Why you don't like wearing dresses no more? You don't talk to me about anything. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Like, noticing your child is a lot of people, they say being seen and not heard. Y'all not seeing or hearing that child.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I feel like that's truly what really I feel like happened in my upbringing, is that I didn't, and a lot of times the relationship challenges stems from what we grew up seeing. The environment that you grew up in. And I thought I grew up in a normal, good environment.
And you keep saying that, and no, that is something too. That's something that I discussed too. Like, when we grow up in our environment, our family, what we see, what we experience, we think is normal.
That's all.
I don't like to say like what is normal, but the things that we see and experience as childs, most of the things are not normal. It's not okay.
They're dysfunctional.
It is dysfunctional.
Yes.
When you start to witness and experience other stuff, you like, dang, it wasn't. And that makes you even go more inward too. Like,
yes.
Share, because you like, dang, what I was experiencing that wasn't normal.
No, it's so crazy, because you cannot tell me the household I grew up in was not normal. But when I grew up, I realized, because I grew up African, culture. Like, my mother taught me to not speak up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm in a relationship, if a man is speaking, I need to drink water and not swallow it.
Yeah.
That's the type of upbringing that I grew up on. Do you know what that does to you as an adult?
Yeah.
That means I didn't speak up in my relationship. Mm-hmm. And when I found out that I could speak up, it was like a volcano.
Yeah.
Because nobody taught me. I was just told not to speak instead of being taught how to speak as a feminine, as a divine feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to actually like whatever we teach our kids, whatever our kids see is what they're going to think it's normal.
Yeah.
That is why it's so important to actually live a very conscious life. Our kids can actually present it with the right examples.
Yes.
Literally.
Because conscious is awareness. It's living
Absolutely.
your life. Yeah, and that's why I created C Notes as my theme.
Yes.
C Notes brand. I'm having a membership. Conscious creators. I want us to create our life in a conscious, more being aware.
Yes.
And and you get to create. And a lot of people don't know that but you creating your life every day.
Every day we are
going up. You know what I'm saying? You're creating.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
let's create consciously, being aware and being alert. Being intentional. That's my word for the year.
Intentional.
That's my
Those
word.
are my favorite words right now. Like,
That's intentional. So,
yes.
but that's why I really like working with adults, because it's harder it's harder for me to work with kids because they still have to go back in that environment. So if I can reach the adults to have them do something different, I think it goes a long way. Or before they even have kids, now they're being able to. I'm stopping these curses. We're not gonna.
No, seriously, and that's the reason why, like, I push as well, like, learning birth charts.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you, learning my son's, like, for example, my son is a jokester.
Yeah.
And like, before I really understood his birth chart, he annoyed me.
Yeah.
When I learned his birth chart,
yeah.
He's a jokester.
Yeah.
This is nature. Like, he is here to make you laugh. He's here to brighten up your mood. Mm-hmm. How can I be mad at that? Yeah. If I don't understand that, then I'm going to actually wound that part of him.
You take that away from him.
Take that away. Yeah. But because I know that's his nature energy, now I'm a jokester with him.
Yeah.
I might teach him to, balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I let him be him.
Yeah.
When we want our kids to be who they're really here to be, then we're taking away from them.
Yeah.
So it's just important to learn ourselves, learn our kids, learn each other, so we just can't all be one.
Can we be better in relationships too?
Yes.
For sure. It was something that you had just said that I wanted to keep on. I think continue touching on what I was saying with, like, being intentional and showing up. But it's as parents too. And I know this is we on relationships, but it all goes together.
I know it's hard to stay because it's all connected.
Yeah, it is all connected. But absolutely. I remember one time I was having a conversation with my friend, and she was like, I don't really like, starting conversations. I don't like, I'm like, having in front of my kids. I'm like, I want to be my authentic self in any space, in every space I enter, and especially with my kids. I want to embody what I want. That's the best way to parent. Embody what you want them to be.
Oh my God.
And that's be yourself. And I show up as myself. And in everything I do, I'm like, I don't hide things from them. I'm 100% transparent. And
do you know how they're going to appreciate you for that? Like, I always say that I don't know my dad. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a 2-parent household.
Exactly. I just thought about that. We're gonna talk about that, though.
Yeah, like
family dynamics, but it is a lot.
Oh, yes.
But a lot of people don't know their parents.
They don't know because they don't know. As themselves, like, parents like want to hide things from their, like, I'm so honest with my child. Like, I'm so honest to the point where he can come to me and say, hey, mommy, you didn't apologize. Like, he can talk to me that way.
Yeah.
Because he knows that it's the right thing to do is come and talk to somebody and apologize and express.
And that's what I say. I'm like, this is what I said in the very first episode. I'm like, you can't spell transparent without parent. So let's be that. Let's be transparent. And
I love that. I never even realized that.
Yeah, I'm not saying trauma dump or have your kid become your therapist.
Like, right, and enmeshment. We're not encouraging enmeshment. Just simply being honest. Being honest enough to where they know. Because when you're like, when I learned, like, I grew up thinking that my dad was perfect, but when I learned that he wasn't, I was able to give men a little more grace. Mm-hmm. Because I thought my father was perfect, so any man coming to me better be perfect.
Yeah.
But nobody is perfect. Mm-hmm. All I needed to know is that he wasn't perfect. In order for me to know that, he needed to show me some attention, some some realness.
Yeah, that's what I said. Just be real. Be
Heart.
you. That's it. That's all you have to do.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, back to relationships. Is there a message you want to leave the audience about relationship challenges? Because the name of this episode is Love Hurts, but it doesn't have to. Because it shouldn't hurt. Love should not hurt.
Love should not hurt. Love is one of the beautiful, like, literally energy we have in this world, and it should not hurt. And I truly, once again, it goes back to self-development, self-awareness. When you really learn yourself and you learn, because let's face it, like, no matter what we said, no matter how you grew up, you never know what type of you never know what type of attachments you have. You never know what type of wounds you're carrying. So when you're aware of that, I encourage people, before getting into your next relationship, learn your wounds. If you have to heal from your previous relationship, even situationships, y'all, like, I disregarded a situationship I was in, and it literally, like, it affected the way I handled a relationship I ended up being in. So, like, it's important to be aware of the things that weighs you down. Be aware of that before getting to your next relationship. Learn yourself enough to know your values, your boundaries, and just know yourself enough to, when you start dating people, you actually are dating in a safe space. You're not dating from a place of lack.
Yes.
From a place of simply wanting to share love with other people, not because you're lacking something.
Yes.
So,
yes. Yeah. All of that. Yeah, I love it. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I know so many people are going to get a lot from this.
So I hope so.
Okay.
Relationship challenges. I feel like this is a topic that most people come see me for therapy. Like, if somebody experiencing a relationship challenge, it's maybe, I'll say 80% of the reasons why people seek therapy, for me anyway. And I always like, yeah, that's what you think, but we'll start there. But relationship challenges, it looks different for everybody, because relationships is more than intimate partners. But that's what, when people hear relationships, they go to intimate partners. But it can be relationship challenges with family, friends, coworkers, really anybody in your life. But what has been some of your, I would say, relationship challenges that you've experienced in life?
Since I was young, of course, the first two relationships I ever understood was, of course, my mother and my brother. And with me being the baby between us three, it was always like, Tyler, you get everything. Like, it's about you, it's about you. It wasn't always about me, but, since I'm the baby, it was always a spotlight on me. But as I started to get older, the third person that I had an experience with the relationship was my godmother. Rest in peace to her. Her name's Shirley Price. She was, not saying my mother wasn't, the first woman I fell in love with, but Miss Shirley was the second. So, like, they'll say a little boy's first love is his mom. My first love was my mother and my godmother. My godmother, she was just everything to me. My mother, she was always my foundation, my backbone, still is till today. But my godmother was just like this superwoman. Like my mother was, so I don't want to take anything away from her. But Miss Shirley, it was just the fact of me understanding that she don't have to be here. She's only choosing to be in my life because she just adores me. And the thing that the first time I started to understand, like, complications when it comes to relationships, my family is really super, super family oriented. We always get together and do things and stuff. But when we're together, it's like it's so easy to see who's favorite and all of that stuff. So with my grandparents, they weren't first of all, I love my grandparents, love them to death, but the love that I wanted to receive from them that I was getting from my godmother, Miss Shirley, which they're in the same age group, but I didn't receive that from them. So when I used to go around them and stuff, I'll see how they treat my cousins and stuff. And it's like, man, why don't I get that same type of love? And then it got to the point where my mom kind of gave me and my brother the choice of, hey, if you guys want to come to the family get together, of course you guys can. But my mom, she also calls me Chocolate. So if you hear me say Chocolate, she used to ask me like, well, Chocolate, if you want to go to your godmother's house, you can. So the first time she told me that, I was probably like 6 or 7, and I used to make it my business, hey, I want to go to my godmama's house. I'd rather not be over there. Let me go over here. And then my grandparents and my aunties and uncles and all that stuff, they used to ask, like, why don't you want to be over here with us? You always want to be over there. I'm like, because look how you guys are with things. Like my mom, out of my grandmother has 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. So out of all my cousins and all of that stuff, my mom was there for everybody's birthday, Christmas, graduation, all that stuff. When it came to me and my brother, they rarely came to any of the events and stuff. So, but Miss Shirley, she was there at every one of them, if not setting it up and all of that stuff, So it was just like, I wanted that love from them that I was getting from her, from them, and it was never that. But my mom, she's always showed up to everybody's events. And I even asked my uncles and my aunties, like, hey, why don't you guys be like how my mom is to me and my brother, like how she is to you guys as kids? And it always just became an excuse or something was going on. And I get it, people go through things in their life. But my mom, she made it so simple. Look, I want a personal relationship with my nieces and nephews. So, you do what you want to do with it. And I didn't really get to have a personal relationship with my own family, my aunties and uncles and stuff, until I got older. And then I started to get really until I got accomplished. Once I started to show them the type of man I am, father and stuff like that, and it became more of a, hey, nephew, what can you do for me? How can you help me? And I'm not no vindictive person or anything, so I still lended my hand out, but it never felt fully genuine. Versus if something happens to my mom, every nephew, niece that she has, everybody in my family is going to come weeping in tears and everything. Not saying it won't be the same thing for them, but it was just not the same when it comes to relationship status, far as with my aunties and uncles and my grandparents. But we built a better relationship now today, and I don't hold any grudges or anything, but it's still just like, I wish I would have had that in the beginning, because then I would have viewed things different.
Yeah, I know, because as you get older, like you said, you get to choose, it's a choice in establishing those relationships. And it really does make all the difference when you establish those relationships when these people are younger, because they will grow up. But it's the simple fact now you putting forth that effort and maybe they see it and now they're ready. But it is, I'll say, it's always a choice in how you, I'll say, manage and choose those relationships. But any other, I'll say, relationship challenges that you feel like you experienced, and how did you navigate?
Now, after like the family situations, of course, it's 3. When I think of like relationships, it's 3 main groups. It's family, it's friends, and then it's like intimate relationships. Friendships. My mom used to always tell me, everybody's not your friend. I always love to try to, be the best friend that I can to everybody, give people the shirt off my back. I even had a childhood friend that I met in 8th grade, and I never said anything bad to him, never did anything bad to him. I don't know where the relationship went sour, but it got to the point where I found out he was stealing from me. And it put me in a weird headspace just for the simple fact of, like, I've done any and everything. If I can't give it to you, I would help you figure out how we can get it.
Yeah.
I helped with his kids, and he helped me with my kids too before, but like I helped with his kids, with his family, whatever. And then I realized that I was being way too much of a good friend for somebody who didn't value and see me the exact same way. And then it put me in a weird headspace because, like, as men, we can't sit here, and nowadays we can't sit here and talk about our emotions. Oh, I did this and that, and ooh. But it was just like, damn, bro, like, you really crossed me over nothing, over some money that, you know, I gave you 1,000 times over before, you know. So it was just more so like, I used to sit back and ask myself, like, why? Like, what the hell did I do? Why? Where did I fuck up at? And me talking to my mom one day, she was like, Chocolate, you know, I think you thinking about it the wrong way. I'm like, what you mean? Like, where did it go wrong? She was like, you keep looking at you as the problem. If you can say you have never done this or done that to him, well, how about you stop thinking that you was the issue and face reality? He was the person that did something wrong. He wronged you. So he needs to take ownership of that. Even if he never admits to anything, you and him and God knows the truth.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you know, stop beating yourself up. Continue to keep being a good person and a good friend to your friends. Don't let this one relationship deter you away from being a good person. Don't start being, you know, evil and vindictive to people just because of that situation. It may hurt, but, you know, in reality, and my mom, she's real raw with things, like super fucking raw, almost to the point where it's like, you would think this lady don't have no emotions. But she was like, don't cry over spilled milk.
Yeah, don't cry over spilled milk, you know, cliche.
She was like, let it go. It is what it is. You know, move on. The friends that you do have, keep being good with them. And if the relationship to him matters as much as it do to him to you, then he will try to fix it. Even though, I mean, only thing I would want would be an apology, but I mean, now it's so far gone where it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so now it's like, I do hate the fact that now I do have a slight wall up to the point where I let my friends in, but not like how I used to. And I hate that I felt like I allowed that to change me to a degree. But I do look at it like it's a little bit healthy because sometimes less is more. So
yeah, and then it's also to teach you, like, okay, I have to have these boundaries. And sometimes when it comes to friends, which I'm kind of happy you did talk about this, because I feel like, honestly, aside from family and intimate partners, friendships are a big part of our lives, but those are people we choose too. But most of the time we choose those people based off proximity. They went to the same school, they're in the same location. And you got to see, like, if you really take a step back and look at your friendships, I'll say do that inventory check. And why are we really friends? Like, let's look at the core values of this person, because simply in the reality of it, we did become friends because we went to the same school or our parents knew each other. You know, it's something simple like that. And as you get older, no matter how hard it is, like, to like come to realization, like, this person, if I didn't know them for this long, would I really be their friends? Like, their values and my values are not the same, and people have a hard time of I'll say letting go. And I kind of been talking about this concept, loyalty. We have this blind loyalty that stem from, I'll say, especially in our culture, from childhood, because we just hear, like, you know, it's just something that we feel like we had to. But I'm like, most people, honestly, because I always say you can only give what you're willing to give yourself. I'm like, they don't really even know what loyalty is, because if we have to sit back and really think about it, am I really being loyal to myself? Because if I'm being loyal to myself, will I allow this person to, you know, disrespect me or belittle me and then still call them my friend. Like, I'm not even loyal to myself, so how can I truly be loyal to someone else? And that means like taking a step back. As you get older, you have to start reflecting on the relationships in your life. Mm-hmm. It's just a reality, I'll say. But is there anything you want to leave the audience in regards to relationship challenges?
I would say, and this is, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, and this is more so touching on intimate relationships, because those was like the top 3 for me.
Okay.
Family, friends, and intimate relationships. With intimate relationships, just to give like a back history, like a backstory of my understanding of it, I never, well, I can't say I never, but I seen strong structured relationships, but I didn't really understand like what kept them together, or like what made a strong relationship between two, like a man and a woman, or, you know, just anybody that's in a real intimate relationship, whatever. I just didn't see. I had an example with my grandmother and my grandfather, because they were the relationship that I've seen that lasted the longest. But I didn't understand the fighting part of it. And what I mean by fighting, I don't mean by 2 people arguing. I mean like 2 people fighting together to make this relationship continue and blossom. And that's what I wish I would have been able to see and understand, because a lot of relationships that I've had throughout my life would have been completely different. I only been into like 2 real like boyfriend and girlfriend relationships throughout my life, but also, to me reflecting back, I never really understood how to fight the positive way. Instead of fighting with her, we need to be fighting the issue, which the issue is, with me being religious, the issue is the devil and the temptations of the world, and, you know, the temptations that come into the relationship. I wish I would have knew how to fight more of the positive way, which now today I feel like I do understand more, because me going through all the things that I did go through relationship wise, it puts me in the mindset of, same thing like with my father, because I didn't grow up with him. I feel like what makes me a great father is, with me having the lack of that, I know exactly what not to do. So the same thing with the relationship, with an intimate relationship, I know exactly what not to do anymore, you know? So moving forward with myself is more of the main thing with relationships, I would say, is learning to compromise. Learning to understand, hey, it's 2 people that's in this, or if you're in a polygamous, whatever y'all got going on. That's another story. But it's about understanding the wants, the needs, and the necessities for both parties to be able to remain happy, healthy, and you know, just into putting this relationship first. And I understand now that I will put my mate first, I will put my woman first, but not by sacrificing my own happiness and peace. Because if she truly respects me as much as I truly respect her, she won't push my happiness or my needs off to the sides. Once we can bend those, because I feel like nobody's gonna always get everything they want, but you do need to get the things that you need from that person. Clarity, understanding, reassurance, you know, it's a bunch of little things. But moving forward though, learn to best way to say it, learn to put yourself in your mate's shoes. If you know you don't want this to be done to you, or this to be said to you, or anything like that, why would you do that to that person? And then also understand who you're with, because understanding your person, it'll give you a deeper, way deeper insight on who you're dealing with, you know, why they think the way they think, why they move the way they move, you know. So yeah, just learn to put people first, but not put yourself last. If that's what if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. I feel like learning yourself before you get into serious relationships are very, very important. And then it was some things that you had said that I wanted to touch on. One I forgot, but one I do. It was a compromise, because I feel like when you really know yourself and you get in a relationship, there's not a lot of compromise that has to occur versus like what you said, like some of the ones like, I want to live in the city, you want to live in the suburbs, like stuff like that. That's minor. But if we know that our values, this is same with the friends, like if we know our values and our morals are very much so similar, that already us coming in together, the foundation is going to be more solid. Having those. And I've been reflecting on this, and I just don't see how it has to be. Like, I feel like us having the same type of spiritual beliefs. I feel like that's very much so important. Even kids, even though that's kid, but like, do you want kids? How many kids you want? Like, because then you making a sacrifice that could really, later on, you're going to be honest with yourself. Like, dang, I do really want these kids, knowing what you want before you try to get into something. So, and having those conversations before the relationship gets serious, before feelings get really deep involved, because people don't try to admit it, but people catch feelings fast.
Extremely.
They catch it fast.
You sneeze and you're in love.
Yeah.
What?
They catch it fast. So having those, I'll say, challenging conversations, and it really doesn't have to be challenging if you know yourself. Like, you're not making, this is a commitment. Like, the person you choose to do life with, having that conversation beforehand, like, I feel like that's not a challenge. Like, that's something that has to occur before you commit that time.
Now, I would say the reason why I do feel like it may be a little challenging is because, well, it does depend on how open you are with your partner, because some people won't touch on certain topics, not simply just because they don't want to offend their partner. They don't want them
but
to...
this ain't your partner yet. You just getting to know this person before like,
Oh, well, then, you need to, hey, look, I want 40 kids. I don't want any. Okay, I want to live in the city. You want to live in the country. Okay, well, so what we doing? Where are we going?
Like, you can't be like, oh, he looks good, so I'm going. You can't do that. Like, this is your life. And a lot of people, they be like, you allowing these people to play games with you. No, you're playing games with yourself. If you being real, like, it's you putting yourself in these situations. And a lot of times when we're younger, we don't know a lot. That was the other thing, because we don't get to see that, like you said. And this is why I try to tell parents. A lot of people feel like, I don't want to argue in front of my kids. I'm like, if you learn how to communicate, you should let them see you guys handle a disagreement, because now they believe that arguments don't happen in relationships. That's unrealistic for a child. Even when you in another segment talking about mentioning crying, like, kids need to know that you feel emotions too, because now they don't believe that emotions, that's not something we discuss. We don't have disagreements, we don't show emotions, and this is why kids don't turn into these adults and look at it. We have to be able to have those conversations and be like, yeah, it's not something like we fighting physically, but it's like, yeah, we have disagreements, but we know how to talk through them and get through them. That's the healthy way to do it, because like, people don't see that. I have a lot of people who said they never seen their parents have any disagreements. So when they got a divorce, it was like shock. Like, I didn't even know. What? And and as they got older, they was like, they hated each other. You couldn't tell me that, And even with the, and I'm not saying like be vicious, but be honest with them, because you set these unrealistic expectations with these kids when they get older. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like with me, with my kids, in the beginning, when I first got married, I didn't used to like show those type of emotions, just because, like, with my mom, with her being a single parent for so long, she was married too, but it wasn't to my biological father. But she didn't show a lot of emotions, and her reasoning for being like that, for so long, she was a single mom raising 2 black kids in the projects. Like we stayed in Cabrini Green projects for like 12 years. So it wasn't that much room to be soft and sensitive just because of the dynamics of the area that we lived in. So when I got older and I started having kids myself, at first I wasn't really crying in front of them. But then after I cry if certain things is, just emotions just taking too much. But then when I got divorced, I did cry. But since I was going through so much, I would try to, cry in the shower when I'm by myself. But then it was a lot of times when I did cry in front of them. And at first I was feeling a sense of embarrassment because my kids look at me as Superman, so... But what I did learn, and I remember this like it was yesterday, I was in a house one day and it was me and my kids. My daughter, I was downstairs, they was upstairs playing. And, life was just lifing the shit out of me. And my baby girl seen me crying. And she walked up to me and I'm sitting there like this, got my head down. And she just comes up to me and like picked my head up and she was like, "Daddy, are you okay?" And I'm like, "No." And she just wiped my face and just grabbed my chin and was just like, "Daddy, you gonna be okay. Like it's not gonna be like this for long. You're gonna be okay, Daddy. You got it, and just hug me." And then at that point I started to understand how much healing my kids were to me.
Yeah.
And my journey of, going through what I was going through. And it put me in the mindset of like, okay, let me be more open to them. Let me accept them so they can accept me fully. And then it was like, okay, I'm gonna take it one day at a time. Every day I do something. If I'm feeling some type of way, I'm not gonna hide from my emotions. I'm gonna let my emotions just flow naturally. But I'll just go be around my kids. I'll hit the gym, go hang out with my guys or whatever. But for the most part, I'll pick my kids. And it was just like, they were just so healing. It was like, man, this giving me so much power that I know I need and that I low-key feel like I've been missing for the longest. So it's really just being open and my thing was stop being so afraid of or embarrassed and stuff like that,
Because that gives those emotions power too, so which can become big and then they just explode out there. And you living your life with your emotions controlling you. But
because that's the last thing you want is your emotions controlling you.
But is there any lasting message that you want to give the audience in regards to relationships challenges?
I would say be mindful of who you're dealing with. Be very mindful of your own feelings and what you accept, what you allow, what you don't want. And always try to be humble and compassionate to just people in general with any relationship that you come across, because you never know where those relationships can take you or what can come out of them. Everybody's not evil, but everybody's not good. So just be real understanding of people and how you treat people and how you speak to them.
Yeah.
Because tables always turn.
Yeah.
You're going to be on that other side one day and your ass going to be like, shit.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Relationship challenges. I would say everybody experiences too. Like, it's a part of life. These are experiences that if we don't learn from them, we're going to keep repeating. So can you tell me about your experience with your different relationships and the challenges you experienced in them?
Each relationship was a challenge. I gained from each knowledge, wisdom, understanding, purpose.
And actually, I know we had talked about this in the family dynamics episode, but when you just said you learn, like, don't look at anything in life as a loss. It's what you learn.
I learn. I take from everything I do. Anything that I come across, I take from. Whether it's knowledge.
Yeah, it's not a loss. It's just a lesson.
It's everything's a lesson. You would never know. We will always try to move how we feel is best until we learn from, we made a mistake. But as far as the relationships, I had a few. Like I said, they all gave something different. But at the end of the day, I still know my worth. And I try to remember to remain myself. Like, relationships can take a lot from you. It can, and you can change it for your spouses or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever for their purpose. So don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And then a lot of us think like, oh, if we go through so much with an individual, I will be their wife.
Yeah.
I will make it to the end.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you make it to the end, you wanna be as happy as you thought you
You're not gonna be happy because you're not living for you, you're living for someone else.
And there was a lot of damage. Damage can really hurt the relationship. Like if your relationship is built on nothing but bad memories and bad experiences, and you think, oh, when I cross the line and get married, everything's going to get better. It's not.
Yeah.
It's going to remain the same.
A lot of people think that it's the trauma bond that a lot of people in the trauma from childhood that's influencing us to stay in these unhealthy relationships.
Right.
And like, oh, if I can prove to this person that I'm so committed and I'm so down for them that they're going to love me now.
No.
Yeah.
They don't love you the same.
But I always say a person can only love at the capacity that they're able to love themselves. A person can only respect you if they're respecting themselves. It's like you can only give what you're able to give yourself.
Right. For me, I think the love in a relationship is when I do have an issue or I have a disagreement about my spouse and he does nothing, that shows me no love. But when he try to do everything he can,
it's the effort.
When he does everything he can to understand how I'm feeling, because now he's listening. You know, it's hard to listen to other people's wants when you have your own wants.
Yeah,
that's really hard to maintain two different people needs, because you got to think about yourself and then you have to also think about another person. So when he
shows effort,
when I speak to him now, he listens. It wasn't like that. We 10 years in now, so it has not always been like that. I would say something, he'd be like, oh yeah, whatever, deal with it or leave. You telling me to leave? Because I will. Jokes aside, I will, and I have to show you that I will. So either I'm gonna give you this opportunity to take me serious, or you can lose me. Yeah. And I had to also let him know, like, I am not the girl that you had 10 years ago. I am a totally different woman that is unbreakable. Yeah. So don't use your power against me to try to break me. And once I see that, then that's a red flag. That's an adios for me. Like, I can't. And they'll try it. I ain't gonna say mine has tried it. They would try to break you. They would cheat on you. They would make you feel away. You know, you give birth to their kids, they call you fat. You know, like they try to put you down mentally.
But I think a lot of people though, I don't know if it's intentionally or whatever, but I think a lot of people are just also dealing with the things that they experienced as a child, and this is how it's presenting. And that's why you have to work on yourself.
Yeah. But then again, I have to say it's a choice. It's a choice how you love people. It's a choice how you treat people. I have went through a lot in my childhood. That doesn't give me the excuse to do you wrong.
And I tell people that.
That does not give me that is not a good enough excuse for me. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Because like I said, we have a choice.
But it's allowing it. Now that's my choice, because if I allow it and I don't do nothing about it, I'm choosing to endure that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not giving anybody a pass, because I went through a lot, and I don't try to be mean to people. I don't be rude. You know, that's just not who I am. But a lot of people have, and I understand it. I don't accept it, but I do understand how people's behaviors.
Well, I think it's an empathy thing for me. Like I'm not, like I said, I don't use his childhood to determine how he treats me. I'm not going for that. Yeah. I see you treat your mother well, I see you love your mom. I see you kiss her on her cheek. I see you make sure she's okay. I see you do the same thing to your sister. And then you turn around and want to treat me a whole totally different way. Unacceptable.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, I have no excuses for you. This is what I'm going to tell you, though. I'm going to give you an ultimatum.
Yeah.
You're going to fix it, or I would no longer be in your life. And that's something we don't do as women, because they say, oh, let the men lead. Let the men take over the house. Oh, I'll let them lead, but I can only follow a man. I can't follow somebody who's moving off the trauma from their childhood. And that's something that we got to look into. Like, as women,
I love it.
You have to protect yourself in these relationships.
And you have to learn to love yourself so you won't allow that. But like you said, you I'll say grew throughout the relationship. Like when you first came in, you were, one way and you may allow, but it's like, no, I learned to love myself unconditionally, and this behavior is unacceptable. And then you said something else, the ultimatums. People are scared to give ultimatums. And I'm like,
they'll walk away.
Yeah.
They won't.
And that's really the truth.
They won't.
That's the truth.
They won't. That
is.
Say, a man will only do what you allow them to.
Yeah.
Right? No. No, that's very true though. I'm sorry. You guys don't listen to that. That's what I'm saying. Like, they will only do what you allow them to. So when you give those ultimatums,
they still have a choice.
They have a choice. And if here is not where you want to be, then here's where I don't want you.
Yeah.
I don't beg anyone to be in my life. I'm not going to scrabble on the floor or, cry myself to sleep every night. Because you decide that you don't want to be here.
Yeah. It wasn't meant.
It wasn't meant to be. On with life.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm seeing it now. I want to be my authentic self. Yeah. I want to grow and be accepted by my spouse.
And you are growing.
Yeah, I know. I can see it. He can see it too. He reminds me. But I keep telling him, like, babe, you got to get with the program. You have to. You got to get with it, because I'm cleaning house. And you're not excluded.
No, and
you're not excluded.
And it's when we talk about relationship, it's not just intimate partners. It's everybody. Like
everyone.
It is.
It's anyone that you have.
And it's like those ultimatums is just final boundaries. I feel like it's like, no, do not cross my boundaries. Like now, I feel like if I told you XYZ is something that I don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, can you please not be I don't really know what I could say is about, but whatever it is, I now feel like now you doing it, I feel like you don't respect me. I have to create that space.
Yeah, you have to. But when I give an ultimatum, that's my last straw. It's like your children.
With the family, because for me, family is, well, at least for, not all, I don't really know, but it could be because sometimes family members, some people just don't grow.
They listen. When I go home, when I go back to Savi, I love my people. I love them. I love to see everybody. I love to watch people move on in life. But when I go back home, it's like they in the same spot. Certain ones, they're in the same spot. And I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how can you be there? How can you not progress? How can you not take life seriously?
Because they don't want to look within self. They don't want to do the work.
And they see me and they like, oh, you bougie. I'm not bougie.
And
I am not bougie.
I just heard somebody else say that. And I was like, it's so funny that people, when you start working on yourself and you start growing and learning yourself, the first thing they do is like, oh, you acting different. You bougie because I'm growing.
Because I exclude myself.
Because I'm growing though?
Yes, that too. But I exclude I exclude myself.
Yeah.
I remove myself from toxic situations.
And you know what? So I was literally, from where I was just telling her, I had seen this video, Katie Wilson, I don't know if you know, it's some, person on Facebook. And she said, actually, I don't know, I think you may have sent me the video. She said that she was watching Soul Food as an adult. And she was now seeing like the sister, that everybody was like, you too bougie, you too. And now you start to really look at it and it was like, oh, y'all really mad at her because she got her life together and she's trying to still hold it together.
And they still taking from her. They were taking from her.
And like, as an adult, you see like, oh, they was treating her that way because she was doing what she was supposed to do. She was supposed to grow.
She was handling business.
Yeah.
She was staying 10 toes down.
And now that, they was saying like, you bougie, this. No, I just care about myself. I love myself.
Self-care always look good. And when some people don't have it, and when some people when they lack it, you're everything that you're not supposed to be. And that's just, I guess that's people that's still stuck.
And I think when you even started this, I haven't said this yet, but well, I feel like a lot of people just don't know what love is, because a lot of people did not receive real, genuine, unconditional love. They received the love that they thought was love, because I know for a fact that a lot of people don't love themselves unconditionally. And when I say it, people get upset. I'm like, and I say, oh, I know for a fact I didn't. Because if you loved yourself, you wouldn't allow certain behaviors. You wouldn't allow people to be disrespectful to you. You wouldn't allow people to treat you bad, call you names, put their hands on you. And I'm not just saying like even in relationships, but I mean, intimate relationships, but friendships. Like I have clients telling me that their friend hit them. I said, that's not your friend.
None of my friends have ever laid hands on me. I have never laid hands.
No, me. That's just. But people experience that, and they say friends with them, and even family.
Because I think they get confused when it's forgiveness. People are confused. I had to speak to somebody at the office that I work at, and I had to explain to them. They like, oh well, yeah, they apologize. So I'm trying to build. No, listen, just because you forgive somebody don't mean you have to still have that relationship.
Exactly.
Like you can forgive and continue to move on without them.
An apology is nothing without change behavior.
It's not. Like you got to see the actions behind it.
Anybody can say sorry. Because if I step on your feet and I'm like, sorry, and then I keep doing it, like, am I really sorry?
Right. Or I'm intentionally hurting you.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. That's another problem. You know, that's narcissism. That's a whole nother subject for a different day.
But is there a message you want to leave the audience in regards to relationships?
If you ever listen to Usher,
okay,
good.
Music.
Good.
Oh, I like that.
Good. Don't only see it as a relationship. See that's every single relationship.
Yes, I like that. Yeah.
Every single relationship. We good. I mean, we ain't good, but we good. Yeah. You know, like I accept your apology, but I'm good, and I'm
and I still want the best for you,
and I still want the best. I
want you to thrive. I want you to be successful. I want you none but greatness to come your way.
That part.
I love that song.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right, relationship challenges. Whew. Okay, can you tell me about some relationships and challenges? And it don't always have to be challenges, but we want to hear it because the world, the people, relationships, it's a big topic for people seeking therapy, relationship challenges. So can you tell me about your experience with relationship challenges?
Oh my gosh. So what I can say is I've been through everything, right? So of course I have something to say, right? All right. So my, just to put it out there, I had been married for 20 years, right? And after 20 years, I realized that I was married to like an imposter, meaning somebody who came into my life pretended to be, I would assume, maybe he assumed he was trying to be a better person, but pretended to be something he wasn't for 20 years, right? What I learned from that, because that's what's more important, is because, and the reason why I said that's more important is because, you know, when I date now and I talk to people and they ask me like, well, how can you trust someone if you were with someone for 20 years and you learn that this person is not real?
Yeah.
How can you just be so open and freely to trust again? Several reasons. For one, I did the work on myself. Secondly, I know now what to look for. You know, I think that's so important. Like when we get out here, we be thinking like, oh, he cute. Oh, he got some money. Oh, he likes me. I like him. We vibing, right? But you have to pay attention to people's character, how they treat other people, how they treat animals, how they treat, you know, people that's less fortunate than them, you know, how they help people. That's how you learn if this person is really for you. Just pay attention to other relationships. And I feel like I wish I would have known that, because had I known that, I would have seen all the red flags.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
All the red flags in the beginning.
Because, you know, I hear this a lot. And I was like, at first I was like, but it's always been to me when I start talking to somebody and they get to talking about their ex and or their kids, parent, the other parent, and it's negative. I'm like, that's a red flag to me. I'm like, it's some feelings, it's something going on that's not resolved, and I don't want to be a part of that. Like, a lot of people be like, oh, he hate his baby mama, or he hate his ex. That's something I ain't got to worry about that. You need to worry about that.
You need to worry about
it. And not in the sense that they can get back together. You never know. But it's some unresolved issues right there. That's not somebody you need to be dating.
That's true. He got to do the work.
It's some work that needs to be done. That's just like, you know, people who are in that healing, growing aspect with the parents. Everything in my life is my parents' fault. I was raised in it. It's the victim mentality. They're still playing victim in there. They haven't learned anything from that relationship. That's not a healthy option. It's just not. And I talked about this too. We had a whole red flags movement. Nobody learned nothing. Like, y'all know what not to look for, but why are you still seeking that?
Still,
and it's not that person. You cannot blame that person. Now I was the problem the whole time. I just wrote that. Like, I was the problem. I didn't love myself.
Yes.
And when I tell people, I'm like, you don't love yourself, that you can't tell me you don't, because if
how you allow people to treat you
wouldn't allow that.
That is so true.
You wouldn't.
And you know, the thing about being in a relationship is that our relationships are reflections of who we are, right? Yeah. Whatever you attract is what's inside of you. That's why it's magnetic. That's why you're attracting it. So you have to do the work on yourself. And one of the things I'll have my clients do is what I would consider like a declaration, meaning like write down all the things that you desire in a relationship. I mean, for yourself first, right? But then also in a relationship, right? Because being human, we want companionship. We want love. You know, it's part of being human, the human experience. But you have to know what you want. And you literally have to have that list of what you want. Granted, it may not be everything, and it can't be superficial. It can't be, oh, I want him to have this type of job. I want him to be 6 feet. Like, oh, that's stupid. Like, that's going to get you hurt, broken, abused, right?
That's because they haven't worked on themselves. They're still working on
material, more
physical,
right?
And that mental goes along, that spiritual goes a long way. And that's like mind, body, soul. You got to say, okay, the attraction has to be there, but realistically, look at your exes. Did they encompass that 6'2", you know, nice body? Like, you've been able to deal with somebody less attractive than what you're seeking now. And then most times people still go with something less attractive. But now let's move past the surface level. Because still in the physical, they should be in a place where they're able to take care of their responsibilities as far as bills and things like that. But now, character, like you mentioned, what are their values? What are their morals? Do they want more kids? Like, you got to look at the whole picture, and a lot of people don't do that.
I think what's really important for me when I call myself dating is finding people who are able to own themselves. That is such a big plus. Such a big plus. It is. You know, able to accept accountability, and be like, you know, I'm gonna think about that. You know, and be like, wow, you know, that's showing someone that's on a personal journey themselves. They're going to continue to grow and evolve. And if we are growing and evolve, you want to be with a partner that can do the same, because what happens, you do become unequally yoked. Like, you're all this spiritual being, and you're like, and they just down here, like, on a different vibration, you're going to crack more, you know. But also learning that your first relationship is always with yourself first.
It is.
Right? Like, if you do not love yourself or know who you are, you will always attract stuff
the
that's
same
not
thing, like a person who does not love themselves.
Correct.
And this is when people like, oh, I didn't, that person, he was a narcissist, and that person was abusive, and this person. But now you got to look inward, because what were they attracted to? Yeah, because they didn't love themselves. That's what it gets down to. Now, me not loving myself looked different from him not loving himself. Like, how I responded, how he responded looked at abusive, but how I took that abuse. Because why would you know what I'm saying? I didn't love myself. He didn't love himself. We met in a space where we didn't love ourselves, and that's what connected us. And the same with respect. Like, I didn't respect myself. He didn't respect himself, but how he displayed it was different from how I displayed it. And that's what people got to look at. Like, okay, to say that person was a narcissist, that person was this, and that person was that. Okay, but what was the root cause of that? And because that root cause is what you're lacking within self. And you got to find that to get into a healthy relationship.
You do.
That's what I had to learn. Of course, I didn't have the most healthiest relationships prior, but I had to like, okay, because now everybody's like, okay, you're the problem. We're all the problem. Do the work on self so we cannot all be the problem. You know, so we can have healthy relationships. And it does. What you just said, the first relationship starts with self. We have to do the work on ourselves in order to get into a relationship that
with anybody else.
Yeah.
And I think by doing the work on yourself, you really, actually, you get to learn what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
You get to say, these are my non-negotiables.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that I may consider. But if you don't know that about yourself, then you're just going to almost fall for everything.
Yeah.
That's so important. The other thing I would probably say, as far as like being in relationships, understand that all of this is an experience, right? First and foremost. That being said, don't internalize it. Just experience, right?
Don't take it personal.
Right there, just things. Another major nugget. If I would have known this a long time ago, my life would have been different, right? Pay attention to how don't force people to change. Everybody is who they are. Just you make a decision to say, yes, this aligns with me, or no, it doesn't. And if it doesn't, be okay with walking away. You don't have to force somebody to do anything. Let them be, just like you have to be you, let them be you. I promise you will find someone that matches your frequency.
And that what I said too, know that what you seek exists is huge, because everybody has potential. Everybody on this earth has potential to be their greatest, best version of themselves. Now, will they live up to it? No, most people won't. Most won't. So when you are looking, or when you are in, I'll say, in a dating atmosphere experience, like you said, if that person does not align with what you need right now in this moment, don't go after them. They could possibly change one day, but right now they are not what you need. So why don't try to think of yourself as a hero? Don't try to think of yourself as the healer.
Saver.
The saver complex. I had that. I had it bad, and I didn't even know that I did. And it's not just relationship, family, friends, thinking I can help. And I thought it wasn't. I'm like, you couldn't have told me I had a savior complex. But look back and look at the characteristics. It's only one savior, and you're not that. You can always help, give advice, but stop trying to do it to, I'll say, levels where it's hurting you now.
It hurts you, yeah.
Because love, it can hurt, but it does not have to.
And then that's another thing. I think we have to stop being attached to outcomes. Just enjoy experience. Just be in the moment. Enjoy. Just be like, oh yes, I'm enjoying myself. Don't come with the, well, I expect this, I expect that. And there's nothing wrong with having goals. But again, if this person is in alignment, it's going to flow. Everything's just going to be aligned. And when you're not in alignment, then you're going to have the conflict of interest. But trying to be attached to the outcomes and how you expect it to go, that's like you're setting yourself up to fail. And that's
what I've been telling. I'm like, it's good to, I'm like, okay, before, it's like you're going on a long road trip with someone, but before you get in that car, make sure values, morals, and things like that are aligned, and then you can enjoy the ride. But if you getting in and you knowing that there's nothing there that matches, there's like, this person is telling you they don't want marriage, and your mind, you're like, I can change that. This person is telling you that they are this religion, and at first I used to, this is me, I'm gonna be my own personal honest truth. At first I used to think that people of different faiths can be together, but I do not believe that. I do not. People have make it work, but deep down, I don't.
That's
you
so
can
true.
make anything work, honestly.
That's true.
But to live a thriving, happy, you cannot.
Because again, we are spirits first. So your spirit resonate with a different ideology, and mine How are we connecting?
How are we raising our kids?
Oh man, I've seen it.
The people make it
They
work.
do. They make
People
it work.
But now I
Yeah.
do not agree with that. I
Yeah.
don't feel like you're living your life of purpose. I don't think you're being authentic because how can I be authentic and telling my kids are saying that it's okay, you can, and it is okay, but I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not about to say that I do.
Correct. Yeah, that's hard.
It is hard. It is hard because that's what I've been working on, my spirituality and my connection with God and what that looks like. And for a long time, I would tell all couples and everybody that I do think people of a different faith can work out. I don't agree with that now. Wholeheartedly, I don't agree with that.
I mean, because when you come down to those things, that builds your
that's
foundation.
a core value. Yeah,
right?
that's your
Yeah. So it's just kind of like we have to agree here, or we can have a plastic relationship, because I call a lot of relationships that are not authentic plastic, right? Externally, it looks like this idea, but inside it's void. It's nothing there, you know? And I mean, for each his own. I personally don't want fake relationships. I want authentic relationships with emotional, heartfelt bonds, right? I want a person that's going to protect my heart. Not, we always talk about, we want to protect and provide. Yes, we do. But what are we protecting? I need someone to protect my heart, my energy, my aura. That's what I need protection over,
And how can you protect that if my belief, say, I ain't saying I'm any faith or religion, but you mentioned Hebrew. If I was a Hebrew Israelite and my husband is a Christian, how is he protecting my values and beliefs if he's not protecting my values?
Cover you.
He
don't even understand what that
because for him, Christianity is his faith. That's something he's not protecting me in. And I said, protection and security looks like that on different. It's not just financial security. It's not just emotional security. It's not just those
tangible things that
that's something, like you said, that's your core value. That's what you're deeply rooted in, and that's what we need to learn. What are our deep core values that are the non-negotiables? And some people are okay with that. I don't want to be okay. And this is that you just been with somebody because it's the consistency and comfort and convenience. That's what it is. Comfort and convenience. I don't want to be with my person for the rest of my life out of comfort and convenience. It looks good. It's plastic. Everything that glitters isn't gold. I don't want a glittery relationship.
I walked away from a 20-year relationship. We raised each other. You know what I'm saying? Do you know how hard that was to walk away from something I'm familiar with, something that I know exactly what he's gonna do. I know when he gonna, and the reason why I did it, because my purpose, as we talked about purpose earlier, my purpose, I had to choose. I had to choose your own adventure, relationship, and a toxic relationship, or purpose. Even though I didn't know what that looked like, because I don't know what's going to unfold, but I jumped on, and I trust in, I guess, my self-care, my self-wellness, like my mental health, right? I jumped instead of being comfortable in something that I know, but I knew it wasn't going to be
uncomfortable to bring about change. Real change comes with uncomfortability. It does. It just does. And I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because if I can get anything across when it comes to relationship challenges, if you can walk away from something from 20 years, y'all can walk away from something for 2 weeks, 2 days. Stop being so invested in something that wasn't never meant to be. That's why I say, like, if that's your person in 2-3 days, that. And I don't want to say now, but you do know. You will know yourself. You know if that person aligns with you. And it's easier to walk away at 2 days versus 20 years.
Yes, absolutely. Because you don't have a lot of investment in it, right? But that's so important, like, to trust yourself, because we have been so attached from being in tune. We don't even trust our own intuition.
And that's super sad if you think about it. And I told you earlier when before we were recording, when I was looking up spirituality, in the earliest form of spirituality was intuition, because religion has a date. Different religions have a start date. So I'm like, what was the earliest form of spirituality? It's intuition. And that's what God gave us. And we're ignoring it. And we're becoming so far from it. A lot of people are becoming so disconnected from their intuition based off what they believe is normal from these family dynamics, these relationships.
From beliefs.
Right,
the beliefs,
from self,
the structure.
that you don't even know what it sounds like. And that's why you do have to get to know yourself so you can be in something that is healthy, because love does not hurt.
It doesn't. It's an experience. And one thing about even if you agree or disagree, right, that both parties will come into this disagreement like, what can I learn from this? What can I take away? So it's not even like, oh, we just always have to be in sync. Or no, we still two unique individuals having our own life experience. We may not always agree. We may, have, disagree. But at the end of the day, we both come in like, okay, what can I learn from your perspective? But something you mentioned as far as the spirituality part, unfortunately or fortunately, the world is more masculine energy, right? And that is the part that has been missing. It's the feminine, the divine feminine energy from it. And so as we women and even men, because men we carry both. It ain't no man or woman, right?
And I agree with you. I feel like, I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't know where you're going with this, but because of the times, the generation, I don't know what it is, but a lot of women have tapped a lot majority into their masculine energy. And that I've been talking about that too. And it kind of showed a little bit in the last season, but I don't know. For me, I feel like a lot of times, especially with what's been going on, a lot of men don't feel safe to tap into their vulnerability or their feminine, if you want to say, energy, to be open to share their experience because of all this masculine energy that's out there. And that's why I just be me and myself. So being authentic, because even in just me being authentic, it creates that space for others to be vulnerable, for them to be open, for them to share their feelings, their thoughts, and all that good stuff. But I'm sorry, go ahead. What you were going to say about the masculine, feminine energy.
So, it's so important that we have that balance, right? And being able to trust yourself. Unfortunately, we just kind of been stuck in this world where we have been instructed and pretty much told to just think with our rational mind, and we ignore red flags. We ignore the signs and signals, and it's like right in your face, like stop, beware. We be like, don't say it, no, God. And then when something happened, now you blaming somebody else. When in all due respect, you got to bring it back home. So I need to, because the truth of the matter, even in my 20-year marriage, I knew I shouldn't have married him. Right? I had this really, really weird dream. Never had like premonitions or dreams before, not to that degree, and something about it said like, no, right? I just was, just a bad dream. Just a bad dream. So, like, signs were always there, but but that's what happens though when you grow up in a toxic environment from a child. This is normal.
It's not.
So you don't even know that this is not healthy. You just like, we'll get through it, but it's so important. We talked about just having a relationship with you. So that's one of the things I tell people is to figure out what your negotiables, your non-negotiables are. Like, and the easiest way to discover this is basically off the previous relationships you've been in. What did you like and what then you did not like? Again, because all of this is learning. This is all we're doing is just learning, having this human experience. So sit there based off of the previous 101 failed relationship and be like, I liked this, I liked this, I didn't like this. And whatever you didn't like, those are the things you are non-negotiating. So when you come into meeting somebody, you look at your paper, you look at them and you be like, okay, either he going to fit or he not. And it's really that simple. Like it is simple.
It is simple. Everything is. But we make it so complicated.
We make it hard.
Life is as simple as these cliches, think outside the box. But it is. But is there a message you want to leave the audience in regards to relationships, period?
All right. Well, I think my message that I would want to say about relationships, y'all already know, it starts here first, right? You have when you create your own relationship with yourself, first of all, it attracts people because they see that you're so competent, you're so confident, and you just elude this energy about yourself that you attract way more people when you're confident in yourself. And even if it's not like, let's just say, for example, you be like, well, that's not true. I am confident. You will attract the right type of people in your life when you exude a certain energy, right? Your aura is a different energy. That's one thing. So it starts at home. Second thing, I know we all do want companionship. What I will tell you about that is you can have it. Just make sure that whoever you call yourself liking or dating, do not try to change anybody. Allow people to be who they are. They will show you who they are. You do decide if this person is matching your energy or not. If they do not match your energy or match who you are or resonate with your vibration or any of those things, it's okay to walk away. You can, so seriously, and you have to walk away. Let me tell you why. If you do not walk away, you're preventing the person who should be there from coming. So you have to release and let go so you can attract what is yours. So you have to let things go that doesn't vibrate or match your energy.
Yes.
Okay. I love it.
I want to thank all of my guests for being open and honest about their experiences. Talking about love, pain, self-worth, and letting go is not easy, but conversations like these create space for healing and evolving. And I hope it created space for you too. I want to leave you with a few things to reflect on. If you haven't already, take the love language test. As I mentioned earlier, I took it today. I took it today because I wanted to see if words of affirmation was low or where it was. And it moved up. It's now third on my list. But I'm kind of happy. I kind of like the outcomes of my love language test. And I think we should all retake it to see where areas I might be slacking at, because I feel like that's exactly what it does. It's good to know how you show up in love, because that's how you show up within yourself. So words of affirmation was something I was lacking. And honestly, I think in all three of my major relationships, they all told me that I was horrible at words of affirmation, and I just didn't get it. I'm like, why you want to be congratulated for, sleeping up or whatever it was? But now I know the importance of words of affirmation, because I was lacking that for self. But take the love language test to see where you were at. And also, I also was talking to a friend who stays in relationships because of providing and, finances and stuff like that. And the love language, and I kind of correlated gift giving to lack of being a provider for self. Like, I need to show up and providing for myself. And it's not saying you got to do it all on your own, but you need to start picking up the slack for self. So yeah, look and see where you're slacking. It's important to look at the top too. I feel like just learning yourself is the most important thing. I've said this before, knowledge is power, and the most important knowledge is self. So pay attention to where, where your love language falls. Because the thing, like I said, the lowest, it just might be where you need to give yourself love. And also, I'll say with quality time, which is always at my top, quality times and act of service are always at the top. And it's usually a tiebreaker question in quality time. Now, when it used to be acts of service, but now it's quality time. And I think that's because I love the quality time I give myself. But if your lowest is quality time, you need more time with you. Be present, put your phone down, light a candle, sit in silence. If it's receiving gifts, this is what I'm saying. Treat yourself, buy the book. And maybe it's not just, but pay the bill, do whatever. If it's words of affirmation, speak life over yourself. Tell yourself what you need. Clap for you. Always clap for you. Acts of service. Do what you say you're going to do for you. Clean your space. Prep your meals. Keep your promises to yourself. Acts of service has never been a thing for me. But if it's physical touch, move your body. Rub your feet, hug yourself. If you need to, rest, reconnect. Also do an inventory of your past relationships. Ask, why did I stay? What was I trying to receive? What was I scared to lose? Then become that for you. That's what I want you to take from this episode. If you stay to feel seen, see yourself. If you stay for stability, be your own safe space. If you stay out of fear, learn to walk in your truth. Yes, that's what I want for you guys. Because I just say truth, because speaking of truth, I wish I had a copy of my book, but I'm working on getting my proof. But that's what my book is. Like the remix that I wrote, it has been a long time in the making, and that's what my book is all about, the truth and how the truth shall set you free. Walking in your truth means honoring what you feel, what you know, and what you need. It means not pretending to be okay when you're not. It means not shrinking to keep the peace. It means loving yourself out loud without guilt. And once you start walking in your truth, everything starts to shift. I'm telling y'all, like, you just stop attracting from fear and you start aligning from peace. Peace, man, that's how I'll say, that's what I've been able to describe how I feel once I started walking in my truth. Once I started walking by, I'll say, faith and not by sight. And I've been telling everybody, I feel like I'm not even walking. God is literally carrying me through life. And it feels so good because I trust the process. And even when life throws me lemons, like I can get through those lemons peacefully and make whatever dessert I want from them lemons. Like it's not always lemonade, it's lemon meringue pie. Like I said this before, like whatever dessert you want to make out of whatever life throws your way. But I feel like prior to how I was living, which I feel like a lot of people are, living in fear and not in faith. But fear attracts dysfunction, and truth aligns you with what you're ready for. And that's like when I feel like I'm ready for something, like say if I meet somebody and it just doesn't align, I'm like, is it me? Maybe it is you. Maybe it's something you need to work on. And don't run from your truth. And that's why I'm like, every time I've been meeting new people, I really reflect on the relationship and the outcome of the whatever interaction we had. Is it something I need to work on within myself because I wasn't ready for that relationship, or that relationship wasn't me, or I'm really not ready for the relationship that God has for me. So I reflect on my relationships. I reflect on my day daily. Honestly, I journal every day, every night. I dump that day so I can move into tomorrow. And I know I sound like I'm talking all over the place, but I'll just say this because I've been saying this all week too. Today's Sierra's truth is not yesterday's truth, Sierra's truth. And it's not tomorrow's truth, because every day I'm evolving. I always say that to people when I meet them. They're like, tell me something that, I might not know, or tell me something that, that's not expecting. I'm just like, every day I'm evolving. Every day I'm a new person. I'm better than who I was yesterday because I'm learning, I'm growing. I'm learning from my clients who I talk to, because you can always learn from somebody's story. And yeah, that's something I'll talk about later. But that's what my new book is all about. Cliche Your Way Through Life Remix, which is available now for pre-orders on the C Notes website and Amazon. It's not just a book, it's a mirror, it's therapy on the page. Like on this podcast, it's therapy on page. It's for anyone ready to break cycles and finally walk in truth. You deserve a love that doesn't hurt, and it starts with you. So journal, ask yourself the necessary questions, ask for help. Closed mouth don't get fed. That's one of my favorite cliches. I feel like that has gotten me the furthest in the life. yeah, it just got me very far in life, because if I don't know some, I ask the questions. I'm never afraid to ask for clarity in relationships, friendships, anything. Like if I need more, I'm going to ask. And if now I don't have to ask for any questions, because where I'm at now, I know God won't bring confusion to me. So if I find myself keep asking for clarity, I'm like, that's confusion, and God doesn't want me for that. And it's just not relationships. It can be jobs. It could be any aspect of your life. Just slow down and really reflect on your life every day, so you don't keep carrying your past into your present and in your future. But sit with yourself, because you are worthy of the kind of love you've always given to everyone else. Free your mind, speak your truth, be your peace. And I want to say one more thing before I end tonight. I feel like I wrote about this in my book, but we weren't created to earn love. We were created by God with unconditional love. And because of society, because we live in America, but because a lot of people need to work on their mental health and their spiritual health, honestly, we feel like we need to earn love. And earn love in every aspect. And it's sad. We even feel like we have to earn love from self. Like we need to prove to them that we can be loyal at the expense of getting hit, spit at, degraded. And sometimes it's not even that bad, but taking a low pay when you know you're doing all the work at work. Like we feel like we need to earn being loved, being respected, being treated fairly, to be seen. I know even me, because I'm gonna say this, because I'm a Black woman, and it's not just about Black women, but as a Black woman, it is a stereotype, angry Black woman. So I felt like I had to quiet myself and not talk as loud, or be, like if I felt like I was being mistreated, don't bring it out, don't say it, just take it, because I didn't want to live up to that stereotype. And I'm like, Sierra, you don't have to, if you know you're not being an angry Black woman, you could say what you feel, and keep moving on. Like, but you're not going to continue to take disrespect. Like you're not, because I love myself too much to allow anyone to degrade me, to belittle me, any of that. And it's just sad that we feel like we have to earn love even from ourselves. So if you can take anything from today's episode, learn to love yourself so you can show up the best you in any relationship you walk into, and you mirroring your light, not what they can do for you, not with what you're lacking for yourself. They can mirror the light that you see in yourself. But okay, until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your heart, and I'll leave you with a song that reminds me what it looks like to love yourself exactly as you are. This one is called Masterpiece by Jasmine Sullivan.
Every part of me is beautiful, and I finally see.
And I'll just say, let it play while you remind yourself you are a masterpiece and you're perfectly made. So say it, I'm a masterpiece and I'm perfectly made. All right, good night.